Thanks for joining. We'll go ahead and get started. I know, people are anxious to hear. So I'd first just like to thank our Tech Talk series sponsors. We've had a great bunch of programming. Bosch hosted an event, Argo AI also hosted an event, and then we've had a series of other tech partners as well. So thanks to both of them for sponsoring this and helping make the passport possible. And I will kick it over to Audrey Russo, the president and CEO of the Pittsburgh Tech Council, to take us through the talk today. Thanks so much, Audrey.
Thank you. Thank you, Allison, for coordinating all this. This is such a fabulous program. And while we're not meeting face-to-face, I think we're still going to have fun. Hopefully you can see me, but you really don't need to, because we're going to have some great guests that I'm going to have a chance to introduce to all of you. So just so you know that a little bit about the Tech Council, we just are a trade association for technology companies, and talent is one of the most important things to this whole region. And that's why we love the passport program, because it's really important for everyone to stay connected, but to also understand what the assets are right here in the region. So thank you again for your leadership there. So I am going to say a few things that we have microphones muted. Did you want me to do a little bit of housekeeping here? We have microphones muted, but we're going to have an opportunity for people to ask questions and interact. So we want this to be dynamic. We don't just want some talking heads. So appreciate your engagement as well. So now we have, I'm going to do a little bit of an introduction here, and we have Morgan Sterling. I'm going to tell you who they are first, and then we're going to go around and they're going to tell you about themselves. We have Morgan Sterling, who's doing a pretty cool placement over at Highmark Health that is now permanent. And when I say placement, she'll tell you a little bit about that, because I'm very excited about the rotation that she's doing. And Lavanya Apramaya, and she's at Duolingo. She moved here, and she'll tell you a little bit about the cool gig that she's got. She feels like she got an amazing, perfect fit, which is really cool to hear. And then, of course, we have Molly Hughes. She's with Dick's Sporting Goods, and she also has a great story and has a really great background. So I am going to start last but not least, and I'm going to bring Molly up. Molly, how are you?
I'm good. How is everyone doing?
Well, we're doing great. I'm glad to see you. And Molly, tell us a little bit about your journey. You know, what you did, how you landed this job at Dick's, and anything else that you think is pretty important, because you've had a little bit of a hiccup in terms of finally landing during this COVID period.
Yeah. So I went to Pitt, so I'm not originally from Pittsburgh, but I moved to Pittsburgh for school 4 years ago. I just graduated virtually in April, and I interned with Dick's Sporting Goods last summer, so the summer of 2019. And then throughout my senior year, I was working part-time. I was in the office about once a week, and then a little bit working remote, so I was already used to working remote before the pandemic. And then I was put on furlough for my part-time position, and I was told that my full-time position would be pushed back to September. And then at the beginning of June, I got a call that the company was able to bring me back. I was part-time for about a week until they transitioned me to be full-time. And I just started my full-time position on June 29th. However, I have been with the company for about a year now, a little over a year. So I came into school a computer science major, and then I switched that because I didn't think I wanted to be a software engineer. And then I met Dick's Sporting Goods at the career fair. I was still doing information science as my major and computer science as my minor. So I wanted to be in technology, just wasn't sure how. And another one of my passions is fitness, and I always wanted to combine the two. So then I found out that Dick's Sporting Goods has a huge technology department, something that I wasn't aware of, and they're also headquartered out here in Pittsburgh. So that was really exciting. And the recruiter got in contact with me. She encouraged me to apply to the internship. Again, I didn't think I would be a software engineer. I didn't think I was the right fit at first. And then I joined, and it was probably one of the best experiences of my life and a huge pivotal moment in my career path. Obviously now I am a full-time software engineer, so I went back to what I thought I wasn't going to do. And I love it. I mean, I couldn't ask for more in a company. In my internship, my full-time position, I'm learning every day. I feel like I have a really big voice at the company, although I am new. And yeah, that's pretty much my...
Great. That's great. We'll get back to you in a moment. So thank you for being so candid about that. So as everyone heard, she definitely went through some fits and starts during this COVID period, and she endured it and then landed where she is right now. And there's a lot of upside there. So Lavanya is at Duolingo now. She has a really interesting background. I want to bring her up and let her have an opportunity to talk about sort of this perfect fit and how it fit into the work that she did at college. Lavanya, welcome.
Thank you. So, hi everyone. So like Audrey was saying, I work at Duolingo now, which if you don't know is a company that works towards accessible and free language education. So the reason that this was a perfect fit for me is that my parents are both from India, and in India, language is just, almost everyone knows more than one language. It's just a part of who we are. So I grew up around a plethora of languages, always loved learning them, took random languages in school, Latin, which I don't use much, but it's still just fun to have in my back pocket, things like that. And when it was coming time to do college, I knew I wanted to do something with language still. And I decided to go into linguistics and computer science. I didn't really know where that was going to land me. I just figured these are things that I enjoy doing, let's go for it. And then junior year came around and I was doing the applying for internship circuits. And I saw that Duolingo was hiring for an internship and I was excited about that, but I kept applying everywhere else too. And luckily things worked out with Duolingo and I interned there the summer of 2018. And our headquarters are in Pittsburgh, so I was in Pittsburgh that summer. And I very readily came back full time after I graduated summer of 2019. And I've actually been at Duolingo for exactly a year and a day full time now.
And so what is your title of your role?
Yeah, so I am a software engineer, but one of the really great things about Duolingo is that since language learning is such a big part of our app, anyone really has the ability to give input about language as well. Actually, just yesterday or the day before, someone had asked a question about Latin, our new Latin course.
Right.
A user had posted about why they weren't sure why a question was wrong. And I was the first person to jump in our Slack channel where we talk about that. So I got to talk about that too.
That's really great. So, and your hometown is where?
Jacksonville, Florida.
Okay, excellent, excellent, great, thank you. And so now we're going to go to Morgan Sterling. Come to the screen. Thank you so much for joining us today. You also have a pretty incredible story. So talk a little bit about your graduation, where you went to school and the classes you took, and of course the cool assignment that you have now.
Yeah, of course. So my name is Morgan. I was born and raised in Pittsburgh, but then at the age of 17, I guess you could say I became a trader and I went off to Penn State. So at Penn State, I was able to major in data sciences, which is kind of a hot topic these days. And I took an internship at Gateway Health in 2018 after my sophomore year. And then I had another internship with HM Health Solutions last summer in 2019. Both of those companies fall under the umbrella of Highmark Health and the companies that they serve. And now I am a Leadership Acceleration Program Associate for Highmark, which means that I do 4 6-month rotations throughout different areas of the company. And right now, my first rotation is with Wexford Hospital Operations. So Allegheny Health Network is building a brand spanking new hospital out here in Wexford, and I'm lucky enough to be able to be on their operations team to help set that up. So I graduated just 2 months ago, which is, it's crazy now that I'm thinking about it. I started my role remotely on June 15th, and then just on Monday, I started out on site. So here I am, and I'm excited to talk to you guys.
No, that's great. Thank you so much. Like this is incredible to have the three of you as women and pushing the region forward and feeling excited about the work that you're doing. So it looks like there is, I guess there's some comments right now that if Van wants to come forward. Hi, my name is Van. Okay, you can unmute yourself.
I'm sorry. Hi.
Hi, Van.
My name is Van.
Mhm.
My name is Van. I just wanted to introduce myself
It's great. Thank
because
you
I
so
missed
much.
it earlier. Of course,
And so you're at Argo, so thank you so
I
much.
am right now. Yeah, I'm actually here, right, like on site. So
It's really exciting. That's so
Yeah.
great. You are working in a very, very cool place. So
Yeah.
hopefully you wrote a note. You wrote a note saying that you're interning at Argo. That's awesome. Also a
Yep.
senior at Pitt. So let's continue to talk a little bit. What about some of the projects that you're working on as entry-level software engineers? Morgan gave a really good example of what she's actually doing, but what does it mean, Morgan, that you're in the operations over at Wexford? What does that mean?
So basically the role that I'm in, it's not as tech savvy
Mhm.
as my background is, but that's one of the lovely things about this program is I can learn how to apply what I've learned in college and in my internships in various different areas. But being on the operations team is the process that we're going through right now is making sure that everything that each department needs, once we do have access to the hospital that's currently being built, everything that they need, whether it's budget-wise, equipment-wise, process-wise, that it's all being set up to be handed over. So that's kind of the main work that I'm doing right now.
That's pretty exciting. So you're getting a chance to just see everything from the ground up. So there's probably not any person that you don't get a chance to meet as well, right? So you get a chance to get exposure across the organization.
Right. It's a unique opportunity. I mean, they don't build hospitals too often. So I don't know when the next time we're going to be able to get a chance like this, you know?
Right. And in the middle of COVID.
Oh, yeah. Can't forget
really,
about COVID, right?
it's great. So Molly, what are you working on over at Dick's?
So for the majority of my time at Dick's, through my internship and my part-time position, I was on the cart team. So if you think of their online website, you're shopping, you add a product to your cart and you go to your cart, that's us. There's also a payments team, a checkout team. So I was working in that area. And I think one of the coolest things that I did there is Carrie Underwood launched her own website back in February. So I was a big part of getting the cart page set up there. But then right before I was put on furlough, I was transitioned to the customer interaction team, and they're big on customer service, obviously, and they have really old software that's built for the internal teammates. So if you were to call into Dick's and say, I have a problem with my order, I'm trying to place an order and it's not working, the agent would ask you, what's your order number? And they'd be looking at their own software and can see your order histories and that current order that you're working on. So the old software, I do front-end development. So in my opinion, the old software, which I haven't even worked much in, is pretty ugly looking. So we are completely rebuilding that entire software system, homegrown from our team. So I joined the team when this was in flight, and they're using React on the front end, and that's what I had the most experience.
Oh, nice.
I started learning that from my internship. And so we're trying to push that out and get completely off of our old system. I think either right before holiday or right after holiday. Being a retail company, we have a code freeze around October and November, so we're not pushing out anything to production as traffic to the website is increasing greatly. So yeah, so it was a big transition. Then my new team's
Right.
a lot bigger, handling a lot more, a lot going on. So it's been really exciting.
It's great because, if any of you know, retail has really changed over these last 18 weeks. So Dick's has definitely been a place that's trying to figure out how did they keep their stores open? How did people be contactless? Then they've had, just repositioning themselves. And Dick has always been very aggressive in terms of making sure that they're growing 10% year over year. So you have the pressures and the exposure of being a part of really a global business in many ways.
Yeah, it was crazy at the beginning of the pandemic, right? In March, we had to update our site and change it almost daily as like new not laws, but rules came in, how to social distance, how you can pick up
Right.
orders. So it was like this new thing came from the executives, this needs to be done by today because we need to start changing the way we run our business, essentially. So
Absolutely. That's great. So Lavanya, I'm going to go back to you. You're working in an environment where people are from all over the world. They're from all over the world. And I know that you said you're a master of quite a few languages, which most of us are probably very impressed by. I am, at least. And the fact that you can actually use Latin in some meaningful way, you know, you've just scored it, you know, a home run. What has surprised you about being in the job that you're in right now? What has surprised you?
In terms of COVID or?
In terms of like working at Duolingo. So here you are, you know, in Pittsburgh, working at a very diverse, very diverse in so many different ways, right? That most people can't even, you know, understand, just in terms of languages and then navigation through the world, because their premise is a social premise as well as a commercial premise. What surprised you?
I think something that is really encapsulating of what Duolingo is that you wouldn't necessarily know if you didn't work there is how much it's the little innovations that really drive the company and have led to some of our biggest successes. You know, this company started off with no one who was a language educator or a curriculum designer, nothing. It was just built by people who, by software engineers who were going off with the idea that you can turn language learning into a game. And so what they did was they made a system where anyone can build these courses. And that was just, you know, that's not, they didn't start off with this elaborate process of bringing in language scientists right away and whatnot. And they were able to start off pretty well. You know, even in our first year, we had a lot of growth. But then once we brought our first language scientist on too, just the little changes they made to the way our courses are structured made a huge difference. And I think the way that we're able to adapt to all of these little changes and how the little changes can add up over time, and the way that anyone from any role can really contribute to these has been pretty incredible.
Yeah, that is pretty incredible. So I'm going to go to Morgan for a minute, because I want to, she's, as a quote unquote native Pittsburgher who went off to Happy Valley, and now that she's back, I know it's COVID, but like imagine that it wasn't, and be realistic that it is. What's your thoughts about Pittsburgh?
So like you said, I'm a native Pittsburgher, so I'm slightly biased, but I think Pittsburgh is a very underrated city. I went off to Penn State, and it's people from literally all over the world. They're from all over the country. And I feel like sometimes there's this, I don't know what to call it. Like everybody wants to go to these giant cities, especially for tech. They want to go to Seattle. They want to go to New York. They want to go to Dallas. But I think that not a lot of people consider Pittsburgh. And now that I've seen just in my lifetime living here, the amount of companies that have like migrated to Pittsburgh and are making it kind of like a tech hub. They're making it a healthcare hub. They're making it for any industry, really. So I think that Pittsburgh is very underrated. And I think that, especially for people our age, just starting out their careers, coming out of college, that it's the perfect place to be. You don't get overwhelmed in a big city vibe, but you also get that sense of community at the same time.
Wow, that's great. So Dustin, is Dustin around? Dustin has a really good question. And
yes, I am. Hello.
Hi,
My
Dustin.
question is, I'm wondering, I know we're all sort of in the same boat right now, but
where are you? Where are you right now?
I'm in the lovely neighborhood of Morningside in Pittsburgh, right next to the zoo. I'm actually a 2-minute walk from it.
Nice.
So that's where I am. But my question is, we're all sort of in the same boat with COVID happening right now, but you seem to have been able to make things work for you in the situation. And I guess what would your advice be for people like me who are still looking for that sort of long-term employment in the region, if any?
Thanks. Who wants to take that?
I can.
Okay, thanks, Molly.
it was Dustin that just asked that. I'm just making sure I got to say it right.
Dustin.
Well, first of all, Dustin, I was thinking about this before we got on, and I read something on LinkedIn. I can't find the post again, but it was something that said they want to congratulate all of the recent graduates in 2020. Of course, we're all super grateful that I can be working right now, but I understand that a lot of my friends and people that graduated with me are not in the same situation. So the LinkedIn post said, take a step back to congratulate yourself on how much you're growing and maturing and becoming an adult, going through, not having a job right now in that job search. So I would first focus on that and know that you have a team behind you, whether, they be working or not working, to support you. My second advice would be keep going to events like this to expand your network. There's a lot of great people on this call and listening in. And I would say in your time that you're searching for a job, do something to also maybe enhance your skill. There's LinkedIn Learning just to, give you that extra push if you're, in a interview or writing something in your resume to say, hey, like I took this time and I also learned this. Explore maybe something else in your department that you wouldn't have thought of, and just keep going. I know that sounds kind of cliche, but a lot of us right now during this pandemic are just sometimes, you're on top of the world and you're renovating your entire house, and other days you're just going and taking a step forward. So just keep going and feel free to reach out to any of us if you have questions.
Oh, that's really lovely. That's very gracious of you. And that is the sign of a really good leader. So thank you for saying that. That's really.
And also, I guess, if I can, a quick aside that I noticed, I was like looking away while you were answering, Molly, and that's because I think we actually had the same class with Leona Mitchell at Pitt. I was like, I thought she sort of looked familiar, but I was like, oh, it's cool.
I don't know.
So good to see you again. I'm glad you got a nice job. That's awesome.
She's a good contact, honestly. She's a really.
And thanks for your answer too.
Yeah, of course.
Oh, that's great. Thanks for saying that. So what about anyone else? Anyone else have advice for Dustin on this? Lavanya?
Sure, I can speak a little about remote interviewing, because usually, the tech interview process, part of it is remote, and then the rest of it, you get to actually meet with the people, see the companies, feel the culture, and that's something that unfortunately we can't do right now. Having seen what our recruiting team is trying to do right now, all I can say is make sure to give yourself grace. We're also all figuring this out. If you feel like someone's off, it doesn't necessarily mean that you didn't do well. They're also navigating all of this. So, it's a hard process, and it's especially hard to not necessarily know how the people on the other side are. But I think just giving everyone a little grace right now, and also just.
That's very empathic. That's really great. It's a tough process, but that's great. Morgan, do you have any other advice for Dustin?
I think I would just say, find your passion. Honestly, if you're not in college, then you probably won't understand this, but for those of us that are currently in college, you're going to know that that's the quickest 4 years of your life. They fly by, and you're constantly moving, and you're constantly trying to turn assignments and be social and balance that. But at the same time, I think we all have to set aside time to step back and figure out what we really want in life and what we're passionate about. Because at the end of the day, if you're going to work just to go to work, it's kind of a waste of your time. So you want to make sure that when you are looking for jobs, that you're looking in areas that you're willing to give your all to, and something that you're excited to go to work. So I think that that's something that's not often preached in college. It's more like, do this, network, get your job. But there's no explanation about the middle. So I think definitely taking that time to self-reflect is going to be so valuable.
That's really great advice. People are
Awesome.
wiser than I am.
You.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Are there any other questions? What about the culture of the organizations? We want to talk about what it's like. I know each one of your organizations, so it's always fascinating to me to hear what the culture is. And the other thing is so for example, Morgan's working on a very discrete project with a whole bunch of people, and the culture there is probably very different than if she's working down on Fifth Avenue Place or wherever. So let's just talk about culture a little bit, because culture doesn't necessarily mean it's the whole organization. Where Duolingo definitely has an overall kind of culture, So I don't want to put words in anyone's mouth, and I'm not an intern or, you know, a new grad, but I know a little bit about each one of your companies. So you want to talk about the culture, like even like the ethics of work and, you know, the hours that you work and the way you build relationships and that kind of thing. I think that would be helpful for people to hear. So who wants to take a stab at that? Molly, you're unmuted. Do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. This is really exciting because I love this question. So
You can thank Allison for pinging me on that.
So the Dick's Sporting Good culture, I would say, not only just on my team, but in the entire building, when we were in the building, is the best way to describe it is passion. I mean, you feel it as soon as you walk in those doors and you see people just walking through the hallways. And I guess another good word would be empowering. When I first entered my internship, I had that fairly naive outlook. You know, I'm the intern, you know, am I going to have a say, you know, and I have never once felt like that from my internship to part-time to full-time. I always feel like I was listened to. They valued my skill set, and areas that maybe I lack skills, they always wanted me to grow. So I think that uplifting learning environment is really, really important. I'm pairing with engineers that have been working for 30 years, and we together are learning something new. So I feel, although my skills may not be fully at their level, I feel like I'm respected at their level. And that is something that is extremely important to me as I'm growing in the professional world. And I don't think I've encountered one person that has ever made me feel any different than that, even between my two different teams. And you can just hear it in the way people talk, especially as we're rolling out new things and handling everything with COVID. It's just passion. They really wanted the company to succeed through this hard time, and always. So I think we have words that are hanging as soon as you walk in the building, and I'm pretty sure passion is one of them. Passionate, maybe.
So that's great. Thank you for your candor. So Morgan, what about you? Because you're like immersed working on this project that, if none of you know, this is a very high visible project that they're working on. So it's not like it's like a stealth little project. Everyone's eyeing what's happening on this project.
Right. So I would say overall, Highmark and all of its affiliates, everything that falls under that umbrella, because now this is my third one that I've been on. I would say, to summarize it, it's kind of, I would say, selfless. It's about more than just us. We realize that, especially in the healthcare industry, everybody has a bone to pick with the healthcare industry, no matter what way, shape, or form you have it. And I, especially being on this team, I'm seeing from behind the scenes that we're about delivering the best that we can be. Being remarkable is a saying that you'll hear all around Highmark in AHN. So I would say definitely caring more about what's going on within our four walls and figuring out how we can translate that to our communities and being the best that we can be in that sense. And like I said, that's something that goes in all of Highmark's umbrellas.
Have you felt like you're very, very welcomed in
It's
terms
actually,
of like working on this mass project?
I'm very surprised with how I just kind of like slid in, and it's like I've been here, you know, and that's wherever you go in Highmark. That's honestly the feeling. As an intern, I never felt like I wasn't the stereotypical go get me coffee. It was, what can I do to get you immersed, and what can I do to better you? What opportunities are you looking for? It was more about the development of me rather than just kind of having me sit there doing grunt work. You know, I always did meaningful work.
Audrey?
Yes.
Hey, it's Calla McLaughlin from PNC. How are you?
I recognize you. How
Nice
are
to see you. Yeah, I was intrigued by Morgan's comment because I think it's a reflection of what's going on in Pittsburgh and why it's so important for us to have junior talent. Is that people are really invested in you because we need you. We need a lot of people to help us fill the jobs that we have that are open. And so I think maybe more than other cities, there's a real emphasis on bringing folks in and getting them up to speed quickly. And it sounds like even Molly, you're experiencing that, and others, because, you know, it's critical for our businesses to be successful that they do that with you. So I was intrigued to hear that from the ladies and just thought I would comment on it.
No, I really appreciate that. I'm very excited by that, Caitlin, because I, you know, having known all these different companies and the chances for, you know, experiences to go awry it's really thrilling. But I do think, like if I go to Lavanya, and I think one of our pre-sessions, she was very intentional and felt very lucky that she was going to be able to get the job, sort of quote unquote, of her dreams. Well, very often, Lavanya, not all of us know what our dreams are, right? So you've really landed in a a perfect alignment. But then so has Molly and so has Morgan in two very different environments. What's the culture like over at Duolingo?
Yeah, I think a lot of it's similar to what Molly and Morgan have experienced, where everyone is extremely mission driven. We know why we're here, even if our role is, working on setting up microservices or something that, you might not be thinking, oh, I am helping people be able to learn languages more by doing this. Everyone really does understand that they're helping do that and is passionate about that. And it's just, it's never a day that you feel like you're there and people don't know what they're working towards, even remote, which has been incredible. Something else that I especially appreciated during my internship is how much of a family everyone is. Not just in the sense that we all know each other well, but in the sense of how helpful everyone is. So when I was doing my internship project, half of the project was front-end work. And I had never done front-end work for anyone but myself, just doing my fun HTML, CSS stuff. And this was a full React JavaScript microservice. And my intern mentor also hadn't ever done any front-end work. And the front-end developer on our team kindly offered to first show me the ropes. So that was all she had offered to do. And then she ended up reviewing tens of thousands of lines of code. And now a lot of what I do full-time is front-end development because of the work that she put in for that. And that's just something that I keep seeing from different people, of just being willing to go the extra mile in helping everyone out. And that's especially important right now when, we might not all feel as supported all the time, but we know that someone has our back. If we're frustrated with something, there's someone we can reach out to and just ask for help.
Well, what about the, I see Allison, you've asked a question here about that the culture's so positive. Talk about the company's connection to Pittsburgh, since they're all headquartered here. Do they make you feel like you're part of the city, of the region? Can you feel that as a result of your work? Because let's face it, we hope that you're not working always for 16 to 18 hours a day, and that you get to experience some of the amazing things that are happening in Pittsburgh. Now, Morgan, I'm not going to ask you first because you have a leg up on it. And even though Molly was here for 4 years, it's different being a student. But I will get to you, Morgan, because you have a great perspective on it. What do you think? How you think your companies are them being headquartered here, that you feel a connection to Pittsburgh?
I would say so. So Duolingo was founded by CMU alums. They've always felt a strong gratitude for the city and the education it gave them. But something that I especially think is important is, so Duolingo is headquartered in East Liberty, which is a historically Black community that is being gentrified right now. And we are part of that. And we are very conscious of that. We work closely with the Kelly Strayhorn Theater, which is like right down the street from us, and a lot of other local communities. And we keep talking about the fact that we are, part of innovation and yet part of this problem. And I think that's an important conversation and something that we do keep talking about often. In terms of doing fun things though, we, pre-COVID, but we will do monthly, we call them discovery breaks, where everyone gets put into groups of 4 to 5 and you have $10 per person to just go explore the city. So people will go get ice cream or go to the conservatory and just do all these kinds of fun things. And yeah, so we definitely care about the city and
you feel
want
that
people to, there's a lot to do here.
Yeah, that's great. Molly, do you want to add anything there?
Yeah, I first noticed the connection to Pittsburgh in my internship. I was coming from Pitt, so I didn't really process that people would be coming from all over the country for this internship, and especially being fairly young, that's a huge transition to make. So through the internship, interns had the opportunity to be housed by Dick's, and people that from out of state could live together. And then we had a lot of events throughout the summer. We went to a Pirates game. We obviously were involved in Pittsburgh Passport. So there was a huge emphasis not just on what you're learning in your internship, but also connecting to the city, because there is a goal, I think, from all of the tech companies and any company out here to bring people to Pittsburgh and show off Pittsburgh. So that's where I first noticed it. And then just on a team basis, you know, we do schedule time as a team to go out. I mean, obviously now we can't do that, but I know before people go to lunches, to Topgolf, so take a break from work or after work and actually go out closer to the city or to downtown and do something fun. So I definitely felt that. And like I said, I think any company that's out here really, really feels that and wants other people to feel that.
That's great. So Morgan, what about you? I mean, you know, you're working on the ground. You're actually connected physically to what's happening up in Wexford. But what about all of Pittsburgh? And
so throughout my internships, I definitely felt connected to the city. When I interned at Gateway, it's right off the Fort Pitt Bridge. Boom, that's like one of the first buildings you're seeing. And then you go, 10 feet, and then you see the big Highmark building. So the location, I think, is prime for people that want to explore the city more. It's right by Market Square. You know, you can eat, you can sit, you can sightsee, but it's also a 10-minute walk to the North Shore, where you can take your team or your friends and go to a Pirates game or a Steelers game, or you can venture up the street and go to a Pens game. So I definitely think that there is that team aspect in being able to go out and explore the city and do the things there. And then I've only been up here in Wexford for 4 days now. But I definitely can see, just being in the hospital, that this is a place that cares about the people that have to come here. The whole purpose of building a hospital in Wexford is accessibility. And so you're now cutting a trip in half for some people that need the medical care of having to travel into the city from outside the city. So I even thought, just thinking about that aspect of it, like I said, it's bigger than us. And I think I appreciate that Highmark and AHN came up with that to say, you know, this is something that we need. So that's kind of where I see the connection there for these companies.
so what other advice do you have for the people who are on the call? What kinds of things do you wish that you would have known or thought about before landing into the work that you're doing now? Or are you saying everything was smooth sailing?
I have an answer.
Okay, Mal. Yeah.
So as you've heard from all three of us, we had a pretty smooth transition, I'd say, from an internship into a full-time position, coming from the support of our company. So my biggest transition piece was more internally, and I was thinking, like, as a person and as myself, how can I step up now that my title is not intern and it's now full-time? How can I make myself better for the team and for the company? So my biggest advice, and something that I strive to do and I learn a lot from, is I know we're doing a lot of technical work. We spend a lot of time coding, but it's also step up in a meeting. If you have a question, don't be afraid to ask that question. Sometimes I would shy away from that, but being young, we have learned some new technologies and new perspectives that other people may not have. So I found that when I do speak up, sometimes I actually make a very good suggestion that people get on board with. So show your voice. If there is a demo for something that you're doing on the team to maybe a VP, that's your chance to shine. You know, show that you came on and you got yourself onboarded outside of just what you can do technical wise. You can show how you can speak to people and how you can present those technologies. So don't be afraid to take that step, I guess would be my advice. Most companies are looking for our younger generation to show that they can be a leader as well. And just, you know, speaking in a room full of people or a virtual room full of people, it helps a lot in the professional world. You should be able to do that. It's a pretty important skill.
Yeah, that's really important. What about Morgan? You can say, add to that?
So especially coming up in the tech industry and the rising of technologies taking over the world, I think that especially in college, we find it very easy to compare ourselves to our peers, whether that's your skill level, who can code better in Python versus Java, and what's more desired. I would just say, don't focus on that and stay on your own path. don't be selfish. I wouldn't say be selfish, but I would definitely say that the more that you think about what everybody else is doing compared to what you're doing, the more that you're going to suppress, you know, your own potential. So I think we all come from different walks of life, and no matter what you may think inside your head, you provide a valuable perspective to a company, no matter where you came from. So you may not think about that, but I think that if you're constantly comparing yourself to where other people are, especially we're all going through stuff with this pandemic, I just think that we all need to kind of cut that out and just say, I'm on my own journey. And that's probably the thing that I wish somebody would have pointed out to me earlier.
So how did you learn that now? You sound like you made your way through that. You sound like you're in a good place.
Yeah, well, COVID definitely woke me up a little bit. I
Really?
spent a lot of time just self-reflecting. I had time. That's all everybody has these days is time. So I literally sat in my bedroom one day and just said, what do I want to get out of graduating? Like, yeah, it sucks that I didn't get to walk across the stage, but hey, I graduated, you know, I'm going to get a diploma in the mail regardless. Like, I finished my education. What do I, coming into this leadership acceleration program, what are some of the things that I need to step up with in myself? And what are some of the things that I want to get out of it versus what they want to also get out of me? So I think that we all just need to take some time and kind of self-reflect, because that's really the only way you're going to get through that.
Lavanya, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I just really like to echo the last point that Morgan made, that, you know, sure, you have your deliverables or whatever, but your internships, your jobs are also there for you to grow. So like Molly was saying, don't be afraid to give a presentation about something. Don't be afraid to try out a new side project. Don't be afraid to try out something that you've never done before. Take part in diversity and inclusion committees, or, you know, just recruiting efforts, things like that. Just feel free to really take this time to learn about yourself and what you enjoy doing.
So it's, you make it, the three of you make it sound so easy, and you're doing it here in Pittsburgh. What do you like to do for fun? Because it's really about everything. You found yourself in some really special places in terms of work. What about for fun? And, you know, imagining that COVID will be over soon. I know Molly talked about sports. That's what she likes, like physical stuff, right, Molly?
Yeah. So my biggest passion outside of my work would be fitness and nutrition. I actually shared this with Taylor the other day, but I wrote a book my sophomore year. I published a book on fitness and nutrition, and it has a ton of workouts and a ton of recipes. So currently a little project is I'm working with a gym called Shape Train. It's actually right by Duolingo in East Liberty, like literally around the corner. And a bunch of Carnegie Mellon engineers just launched an app that's connected to your Apple Watch, where you have a personal trainer that will plan a workout for you, and it'll be on your phone, tell you what to do, how many reps, it'll count down time, and tell you if you're squatting, if you don't go low enough. And they just launched that. So there's a 30-day trial period. So I'm currently testing that app. So it's cool because I do front-end design and user experience work with our UX designer, but I also love fitness, so it's truly the combination of them two, and I can give feedback both on the fitness side and the usability side.
What's the name of the app?
It's called Shape Coach.
Shape Coach, okay. And then can I get your book anywhere? Taylor, did you get her book?
Yeah, here, let me ping.
Oh, look, she's taking care of it right now. Okay.
I'm gonna ping the link, and actually, copy it.
Okay, so create your own aura.net.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, Taylor, you see that? Awesome.
Yeah, we haven't, I did not have front-end development experience before we made this website, so it is not coded from scratch, but.
That's so great. So we are going to, you can see someone here, Charlotte said, I want to be your friend and work out together when I move to Pittsburgh.
Absolutely.
Charlotte, you will move to Pittsburgh. What's going on with Charlotte? Are you working, Charlotte? Or are you looking for a job? Are you looking for an internship? Does Charlotte come to the forefront?
Hi. So yeah, I'm currently interning at Duolingo.
Oh, hi.
Hi. and my recruiter is here. So hopefully she'll give me a return offer for September. And that's when me and Molly will hang out and work out together.
That's awesome. So do you know Lavanya?
No, we've never met. Hi, Lavanya.
Hi.
That's great. Okay, well, good luck to you. And we're very excited to have you as in Pittsburgh. As soon as that happens, let us all know. So then you can get connected to Taylor and to Morgan and to everyone else. So that's what this is about. That's what this is about. It's being additive. So Morgan, what do you like to do outside of your amazing rotation that you've got started over at Highmark?
I grew up in a football household. There's no other sports. It's mainly football. I guess baseball slides in there sometimes. So I really enjoy Steelers games. My dad actually, he was a semi-pro coach for 10 years. So it's literally in my blood. So I like, I still will go to any of the other major sports in the city. I think that that's just an environment that everybody has to experience. Pittsburgh fans have a passion for their sports, whether they suck or not, let's just be honest. I also like to I'm more of a chill person, so you can find me at the overlooks. Also, Pittsburgh is a very photogenic city, so going up there and just kind of being at peace. The Point and the North Shore as well are awesome places to just kind of hang out and take in your surroundings. So.
Okay, well that's great. We've gotten some great advice for you. How about anyone else that's on the call? Do they want to ask our esteemed guests who's some questions or have some comments? I mean, I want to hang out with the three of you, but I know you'll probably just laugh.
I have a question if that's all right.
Yes, go on. Hi, Dustin.
Do you have any favorite Pittsburgh restaurants from being in and around the city? I know with COVID it's weird, but worth asking.
Any specific cuisine?
No, just your favorite.
So being Indian, Chula is one of the best Indian restaurants I have ever been to. I lived in India, and the paneer is the best paneer I have ever had.
Is that right by Target?
It is. Yeah. I live in the apartment building right across from the street, and it is a little dangerous that I live right there.
Wow. So you live, like, you can roll right out of bed and go to work.
Yes. Yeah. I live a 3-minute walk from my office.
That's great. And Molly, where did you wind up living in Pittsburgh?
I am in South Side. So when I go to the office, it's a little bit of a commute. It's not terrible, but I'd rather live closer to downtown. So I just moved to South Side July 1st. So
okay.
Well, Molly, this is Kat from PNC. I live on the South Side too. I know all the restaurants on the South Side, so I can't chat, but I'm going to send them to Allison Treaster and she can put them in the chat for you.
Okay, cool.
That's great. And so, okay, so Lavanya, where's Morgan?
I'm here.
Oh, there you are. You disappeared from my screen for a minute. Morgan, where did you move to?
Well, I'm living with my parents. I'm fortunate enough to do that, but I'm from the west end of the city. So literally like a 5-minute drive to downtown, maybe 8 minutes if we catch a red light or two. So,
and some of the most amazing views of the city from that side that are in many ways a secret.
Definitely.
That's great. Okay. So here's a question, Jeff Remark. Do you want to ask this question to Lavanya?
Hi, I had a question for Lavanya. With COVID, a lot of people took on, new hobbies or educated themselves further. Did you see an increase in Duolingo users during quarantine?
Yes, definitely. So we usually see an increase around New Year's because of the taking up new hobbies, right? They have resolutions to educate themselves more or to, use their phones for something educational, things like that. But especially now that people have more time and different access to education than they did before, we're seeing a huge increase. Every country, like a day or two after it goes into lockdown, our graphs look like this. And that's stayed too, which is pretty exciting. Means that people do like us and keep wanting to use it.
Oh, that's great. Anyone else that's on the call that wants to ask some questions? you don't have to write it in the chat, but anything that you want to add? Or
I'm going to ask because I feel like we have a shy bunch. But I'd love to hear, you know, obviously anybody who joined is interested either in one of your companies or Pittsburgh. So can you guys talk? I feel like sometimes you apply to jobs, you feel like your resume goes in a black hole. And what was the process like for you? How did you get connected to the company? What was the interview process like? Kind of, you know, walk through those early days of getting connected to your job.
So you're asking us, right? This isn't, or is this to the whole group? Okay.
The three of you.
I would say I agree when you're applying to companies. Sometimes it feels like your resume can get tossed aside. I know that for me, it was all in-person conversations at the career fairs. I know that that is going to be very, very different come the fall. So if there's virtual events, I would say make those connections where you're on something like we're doing now and speaking to people, because then you put a face behind that piece of paper. That is, I would say, solely how I got started in the process with Dick's Sporting Goods. I met the recruiters at the career fair and had a great conversation and then continued from there. And I also know a lot of my friends that are outside of tech and business, it was the same thing. It was honestly the most people that have had success going from internship to full-time. I would say it would be taking advantage of networking events. I don't know. I know we have recruiters on here. I think someone said, so I don't know if you can speak to how it is maybe, you know, having a resume and then having a resume that you've also met the person behind the paper too. Not to call whoever's a recruiter out on here.
Yeah, I can speak a little bit. My name's Holly. I'm sorry, I'm outside, so you might be able to see my hair blowing in the wind. But this year obviously is going to look a lot different with COVID. Pretty much, we're anticipating that almost all of our recruiting efforts this year are going to be virtual, whether that comes in the form of, you know, virtual career fairs or virtual tech talks, that sort of thing. But we're still really excited to get to build relationships with students and faculty members, you know, across the country and of course across Pittsburgh through all of that as well. So happy to answer any questions if you want to.
Where are you sitting? Where are you sitting?
I am outside on my porch. Actually, you can kind of see the Pittsburgh skyline here from my porch here. So
oh, there you are. Okay. That's awesome. Okay.
Hey, I think I'm a recruiter. My name's Kat from PNC. I actually run talent for the company. And I've been on probably all of these calls so far. Maybe I've missed one or two, I think. But I think it's all about relationships, and it's easy to send your resume in, but the minute you can make a contact with someone and have that conversation, it will absolutely make a difference. And I can't tell you, I've probably been recruiting for 20 or 30 years. And even to this day, people I recruited 20 years ago will reach out and say, hey, Kat, do you remember me? And recruiters always remember you because we build these relationships and we want to help you be successful. So every single one of these calls have people like me, and it's Holly and folks from these companies. I think Allison or somebody's putting my email address. Somebody can put it in the chat, but we're freebies. You should take advantage and say, hey, I met you or heard from you, you know, can you help me? Because that's what we're paid to do. And we love what we do.
You do.
Absolutely. I will stick my email in the chat as well. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions.
Oh, thank you so much. That's great. And I'm going to offer Taylor on my team to be a resource because she's pretty amazing. And she's been doing some incredible stuff. And I know that all of you could benefit because she's also a connector. So is there anything else that you think we need to cover? I mean, and have any questions or say, gee, I really want to ask that question. And that question can be asked either to our three esteemed guests or to myself or to Allison.
I have a question for Molly.
Jeff.
Okay. Hi, Jeff.
Hi. So I actually got the chance to visit the Dick's Sporting Goods headquarters. I was there for an American Marketing Association event, and it's a beautiful place. And I saw like they even have basketball courts and stuff. What's your favorite part of the headquarters?
I would say, as I mentioned, I like working out. So I would say the gym, just because it's really nice. And above the basketball courts, you have that track. So it's a great place to go if you need a brain break from work, walk some laps. So I would say that's my favorite place. But I also like the cafeteria because the food's really good. But yeah, the gym and the basketball courts. I know a lot of the interns play pickup games, and they'll have volleyball nets out there too. During lunch or after work. So I agree with you there.
Okay, there you go. Thank you all. I'm passing the baton to Allison Treaster.
So Audrey, thank you so much for moderating. To Molly and Morgan and Lavanya, thank you guys so much. I put this in the chat, but to be totally honest, like you guys are so far beyond where I was when I had just graduated from college in terms of being insightful and thoughtful and forward thinking and knowing where you want to go and how to make an impact. So congratulations. I feel like the future is very bright in Pittsburgh and we're thrilled to have you guys here. And thank you for your time today. I did want to also mention we have a LinkedIn group. You can connect with some of these recruiters. I know Vernon from Highmark is on. Holly, thanks for your comments. Kat, some other folks from different companies. So you can connect with them through LinkedIn, hear about upcoming events and things like that. And then also we'd love to have you join us next week. We have some great things, again, kind of future focused and forward looking. Monday, we have the sustainability of water with Evoqua, who's a global water technology company, really kind of transforming the way we think about water as an essential service across everything we do in life. Ernst & Young is hosting a session about how to nurture your innovative mindset. So not just the innovative practices they use within the company, but also just personally how you can kind of learn to think outside the box and be more innovative in your everyday life. We have the president and CEO of the Penguins and the athletic director from Pitt talking about the future of sports. So a little bit more of a candid conversation. Anybody from Dick's Sporting Good, obviously you guys are welcome to join since that's right up your alley. But what's the fan experience going to look like? What's next in terms of coming back into the market and things like that. Highmark is hosting a trivia night, so there should be some games and some fun prizes. You can learn about opportunities at Highmark. And then Pitt and Carnegie Mellon are going to host a session about grad school, job search strategies, and things like that with some really tactical advice about what you can do next. So all of that can be found at pittsburghpassport.com. Again, thank you all so much for joining us today. Stay well, be kind, and we will see you all very soon. Thanks so much, everyone.